What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Mommy Confessions. If you've never
Hi.
watched it before, hello, how you doing? Thank you so much for being a part. This is a live show slash web, web show slash podcast that chick Angel, do every Thursday. And if you're a member of my Patreon, you're seeing it live a whole day in advance. Mommy Confessions is just a raw, honest, hopefully inspirational show about all things motherhood and womanhood. And sometimes we have dads on here. Well, today I have a very, very special guest. She's so special that if it wasn't for her, the show would not exist because I wouldn't exist. So I would like to everyone listening, I would love you all to meet my mother, Miss Dorothy Mae Moore. Hi, Mommy.
Hi.
So my mother, who actually lives with me, is got kind of stuck in Kentucky visiting two of my sisters because they both had some major things happening in their life. Granted, some of that stuff got canceled, but then other major stuff happened. But during this pandemic, me and my husband and my sisters out there thought it would be safer if my mom stayed put in Kentucky until COVID-19 comes to a little bit of a halt, because we'd rather her safe and alive than to be sick and here. So, Mom, how have you been doing?
Hi, Angel. I have been doing wonderful. Been enjoying a lot of physical rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also missing all four of my boys that I really asked God for to come out of your womb. So other than that, I'm doing really great, catching up on a lot of stuff that maybe I couldn't catch up on or didn't catch up on because I allowed myself to be so busy with my four little boys.
Okay.
So I'm doing great, Angel.
Good. So for those of you all who haven't seen this show or you haven't seen it in a while, y'all know we start every episode off with a confession. That's right. We are going to tell something that is 100% true that we have either been feeling, dealing with, and I will start. And this is actually a confession I had just made, and I do Facebook Lives every morning. And I was telling the people of Facebook, I was like, you guys, I am getting to the point of overwhelmness. Like, what is going on in my life? Like, thank God that my view that you all have right now is blocking the sofa, because the sofa is covered in clothes. And I was doing good at the beginning of this quarantine. I was getting clothes put up, getting everything folded. I got my kitchen clean. My kitchen is a wreck again. Clothes are back on the couch. I was like, but and some of that is that I'm taking on more content because, you know, this is the best time to do it. Before, because I was ripping and running with the kids, had auditions, I would book jobs, praise God. Being able to just focus on creating content was not something that I was able to do. And I still can't just focus on creating content. Like, I still got to teach these kids, still got to make sure little Marcus is doing his work. But I had to literally, during the live, press through. And I thought that, like, even getting this Zoom up and streaming to YouTube, I was like, how do you get this done? But I did not give up. I could have, but I didn't.
Yay.
So
Yay.
while I'm overwhelmed, I'm not defeated. And I just know that eventually, hopefully, prayerfully, this load will be lightened, not because I'm no longer able to do it, but because I'm able to afford someone else to do some of this for me. Amen and amen.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
Mother,
I agree. Yes.
what is your confession?
Well, my confession is based on the fact that I never been able to relax like I'm relaxing now. And I kind of like it. I didn't think I would enjoy not being busy. You know, I have to do something, but since I've been forced into this quarantine. I have, is quarantine, okay.
That's all right. You say it how you want to say it. Go ahead.
That's right, but you know what I mean, right?
Yes, I know what you mean.
Anyway, so I confess that I am really liking it more than I thought I would, because I am a super grandma, super mom, and they cut my wings. So I can't fly around and do everything and be everything to everybody. So I'm kind of enjoying that.
Uh-huh. That's your confession. You enjoy
My confession is
watching.
that I'm enjoying not being able to do as much as I used to attempt and do.
Yes. Okay, that's good. You getting a chance to sit down. It's not even no,
Yes.
no, no. You had opportunities to sit down. You're being forced.
That's
Yeah.
more the correct version.
Yeah.
Yes.
You being forced to sit down, which is good. Sometimes it does have to happen by force, and luckily it didn't happen by force by you being sick or anything. It's just
Hallelujah.
by force of,
Yes.
in order for you not to get sick, sit down. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Hallelujah. That is
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yay.
And so my mother has been on Mommy Confessions, I want to say 3 times already. So this is her 4th appearance on Mommy Confessions. And one thing that we've never done on Mommy Confessions is truly just interview Dorothy. And what I mean by that is usually I have a topic and then I get your spin on the
Yes.
topic, whether it be, how, what, like motherhood regrets or legacy or building independent women or raising independent women, I should say. So now I'm going to give people more of insight on who you are as a person, because a lot of people,
Oh my.
they think they know you, but they have no idea. I think
That is true.
one of the Instagram lives that you did with me, you had people rolling. They didn't realize how funny you are. Now I'll give this one caveat, just like with anybody. So I'm giving the audience this one little insight that
Go ahead.
my mother will put on a little bit for the camera. She's giving you a little bit. Look, yeah, she's giving you a little bit extra. She's giving you more than what she really got to. But that's just a part of who she is.
Well,
and I accept that. So just know you get a little bit it's like you know how they charge extra for guacamole? Mama's giving you the guacamole for free right now. You're not getting bare bones Dorothy at all. So let's start off with, like, where are you from? Where were you born? And what was it like? What was it like where you grew up at? And this is, I mean, before we'll eventually get to the story of when you moved to Baltimore, but tell them the prequel, your origin story. Where are you from? Like, where did you grow up? When were you born?
Okay. I was born June 13th, 1950 in Macon, North Carolina. The area was known as Bigwood, North Carolina. I was born there, and as far as I can recall, I stayed there till I was 5. And that's where I was born at, to my mother. But I was born at home. We had a midwife, which the midwife probably was my grandmother. And, my mother was there, and they did the best they knew how to bring me forth. And I'm still here. So that's where I was born at.
And tell them how many siblings, where you fall at in the whole.
Okay. I have one brother. I have one older brother. He's
I was going to say, you got more than one brother. Yes, you got one older brother.
Well, it's a total of 8 kids born to my mom. And of that, I'm number 2 daughter, but a second child. My brother's 2 years older than me, and everybody else is younger than I am. I have 3 brothers, and I had a total of 4 sisters. One sister passed in 1974.
Okay. And how would you describe, like, where you all were, like, give them, like, day-to-day activities so they can really understand, like, you say the country, you say the backwoods, but give them, like, a little more insight of, like, where you grew up and what y'all were doing.
Well, I'm truly a country girl. I'm talking about the real country, because we had no running water. We had no furnace or thermostat to turn up the heat. All we had, we cut wood for the fire. We cut wood for the stove. If we took a bath once a week or maybe once every other week, depending on how dirty you got. But the thing about, you had to draw the water. You have to draw the water and heat it up in order to take a bath. But, one thing I can say about being born in the country, we didn't waste a lot. And you always tried to be the first one in the tub, because if not, you would be the last one in the tub. We didn't change the water out. We added more hot water into the tub, but we never emptied the tub out, washed it out with Ajax or Comet or anything. We didn't have any of that. We just basically did what conservative country people did. We did take a bath, but normally the sad thing is adults probably always went first.
Oh, so you never got to have the first bath.
Oh, no, it's child.
Never.
Kids didn't have a say. Kids were seen and not heard. And so sometimes if you got there before your older siblings, before the baby, you could get in and not be the 10th person in the water, maybe the 5th. But again, when you don't know any better, when you don't know that there's water that runs out of seeming like the wall, you live with it. I was a happy kid. I was happy to play in that water. I didn't know that it was probably dirty and had bacteria, and it was fine. I smelled better than I did when I went in, so I was good.
So how many, because it wasn't just the 8 of you all, so it wasn't just the 8 siblings and your grandparents. You got to paint the picture a little bit.
Yes. More. Okay, it was 7, because one of my siblings was never in North Carolina. My baby sister Wendy, from 13 years, 13 days, she never lived there. But it was 7 of us, and then I had 4 cousins there, and I had an aunt. So we got, let's count that, 7, 11, an aunt, that's 12, grandfather, that's 13, and a grandmother, that's 14. So it's 14 of us. At one time, it was 16 of us totally, because when my aunt started pushing out babies, it was more of us. But the rule was the same. It's bath night, and we just took a bath. And again, the adults went first. I think because they knew that they didn't want to bathe in dirty water.
Mm-hmm. But of course.
Kids only know what you teach them. I was not like your kind. I didn't think about it. If they said get in the water, you got in the water.
You got in the water.
It wasn't yes.
Now, how big, get them to also understand, like, how big was the house that all 14 of you all lived in?
Okay, and I do want to say that the tub was a number 3 tub, because you have tubs, they have numbers. Number 1 tub is smaller. Number 2 tub is larger than a number 1, and number 3 tub is kind of a big tub. But, you know, whatever we had to do. But the house was a 3-room house, praise God. 3 rooms with an attic. And one of those rooms was the kitchen. So you got living room, a kitchen, and the refrigerator was in the 2nd room. So you had
the refrigerator wasn't in the kitchen?
Oh, no, couldn't get in the kitchen. It probably was an add-on. Because the kitchen, you know, you can see up on our house. I guess y'all call it crawl space now, but we just set it up on top of some stones. And you could see outside without going outside. I mean, we just had logs. Logs were wrapped together with rope. And then when it wintertime, those holes, we would take and put some stuff in them to keep the air from coming right into us. And then in summertime, we would pull it out so the air could get to us, because we didn't have the thermostat for the air condition. If God didn't send some air by, we didn't get it. But so there was 3 rooms. So the girls slept up in the loft, and the boys slept in the 2nd room with refrigerator. So, and then also the canning goods that we canned was up in the loft with the girls. So all the girls were upstairs, all the boys was downstairs. And so that's why I like a large house now, because I think I just got so tired of having foot, elbow, bodies on me, because we all had one bed. But you know something, I think that they ought to market this, because we had a mattress was made out of hay. So
y'all made y'all mattress out of hay. Did y'all make it, or did y'all buy it?
We only bought sugar and flour. Everything else we made.
So y'all made my grandma out of hay.
Yes. Yeah, she was stuffing with hay. And some, you know, and it takes a while to get hay to conform to your body. You know, it's not like a sleep number bed.
Right.
See, a sleep number bed, you just push a button. No, you had to keep moving it. If it's kind of stuck in you, you move over and try to keep working that out till that branch folded down so it wouldn't stick you no more. And so, but that was you know, we slept. And then if not, you could sleep on the floor, make you a pallet on the floor and sleep.
Get your brother. Sorry for the noise in the background. The baby, the little plastic gate fell on top of him, and he thinks that he is just stuck for life.
Yo, get my baby, get my Amara.
He is losing it. Okay, so what were your daily activities like in this 3-bedroom with a loft home with your own custom made hay mattress and your sleepover with your cousins?
Well, make sure you understand that it was not a 3-bedroom. It was a
3-room.
Yes.
3-room. Yes, with a loft. Or
that's
attic.
right. It's not 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms.
So,
well, we would get up. Okay, now when I was 5, okay, let me let you get him. My baby. Ahead. Okay, when I went from at 5, I came to Baltimore. Then I went back to North Carolina. There from the age 10 to the age 16. I can definitely tell you what my routine was for 10 to 16. 5, I don't quite remember.
Okay.
But I do want to tell you this though. I never crawled when I was a baby. I never crawled. Matter of fact, my parents really thought that something was wrong with me because I would slide on my butt. Mm-hmm. I would slide, but they said that happened because I had more personality to Mighty Joe Young. And you know how he would take his arms and do, so they felt that because my mom went to the movies and she got scared by Mighty Joe Young. So I came out looking something like Mighty Joe Young. So they said my face was turned up, my chin was kind of up high, and then I was scoot everywhere I went. I never crawled. But what they did know, I had started walking, but I've always been an apt kid about getting other people to take care of you. Yeah, so they had to carry me around because they said, oh, this poor girl, we don't know what's wrong, but she won't crawl. But they didn't know that I had started walking. Every time I would get up and walk somewhere, I would just drop down on the floor, just flop down. And they would say, yeah, but see, I didn't have total adult reasoning because one time it had snowed outside and everybody was out at the woodshed and I wanted to know what was going on. So I walked out until they saw me and I flopped down. Well, I forgot that if I had really slid, they would have saw my trail.
Right.
So when my grandmother looked and says, how did she get out here? They said, she couldn't have slid out here because we don't see the trail. So they proceeded to spank my legs. And I got up and I ran back to the house. They said, oh, that girl's been walking for a long time for her to be able to run like that. Surely I was walking, but why let them know when adults like to cater to babies? Right. I just needed that catering. I'm always need that attention. And then the other thing, she could not breastfeed me. They had to give me milk in a cup. I never would suck my mom's boobs. Okay. I really think as a kid, I thought they were ugly and I didn't want them in my mouth, so I wouldn't take them.
So mama, tell them about your daily activity, the question I asked.
Okay, their daily activity. I would, at 6, whenever the rooster woke up, my grandfather. Now, mind you, I'm not the oldest one in the house. I got cousins older than me, brothers older than me, adults older than me, but it was my responsibility to make the fire. So when she would say, May, make the fire, I would come down out the loft, and it would be very, very cold because, like I said, the way our house was made, we had a lot of air intake. And I would make the fire, and everybody would get up and warm by the fire. Now, then we would start our day. My grandfather would say what field we was going to work in today. We were not allowed to go to school unless the weather was in climate. If the weather was cold or rainy, we could go to school. If it wasn't, we had to do farm work because we were farmers. We were sharecroppers. We had to get that farming. So my day would start.
We're missing so that meant in a school year, how many days of school do you think you would miss? If there was say there's 100 and I don't know, 50.
Only 166 days. I only went 66 days or less. I know that
66
the highest
days
ever went was 66. Yes. So I don't know how many. I never really knew how many days a school year had, but I know for a fact I only went 66 days or less because the teacher said when she thought she was gonna have to flunk me, she says, you never get to school more than 66 days. So I had to stay, but And then after a certain age, you don't have to go to school. So I reached that age. That age was 15, 14 or 15. You no longer had to go. You could become what we all know as a dropout, yes. But then as being a farmer's granddaughter, my grandmother's, her formula was she had a 3rd grade education and she could sign her name. So when I got to the 8th grade, she says, there's no need for you to go any further because I just went to the 3rd grade and see how I can write my name. So she felt that
was
I
it.
had I had really went to college in her mind. I went to the 8th grade, but I loved school as a kid.
What on the sunny days?
Okay.
What did they have you on the sunny days when they would not let you go to school? I would get up after I made the fire. The sun is up a little higher. Then the next thing you got to do is water the animals, milk the cow, and feed the chickens, and collect the eggs. Get all that done, probably by in an hour, and then you're ready to go to the field and work. Well, you did get breakfast after you did the first stuff. Then you would get breakfast. Then after breakfast, you would go to the field. Okay.
And then you would work. You would chop, if you had to chop the cucumbers, the corn, or the tobacco, or the cotton, you would chop it. And then if you had to collect it, like pull tobacco, I think my grandmother thought I was a boy because I did all of the boy stuff. I would be out in the field with the guys pulling tobacco and hanging stuff in the barn and all that. But your day progressed along based on what needed to be done. Now you would pull back all day because we had acres. So you had, you go down a row, up a row, down a row, up a row. And then at lunchtime would be around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Everybody ate lunch at the same time. So it wasn't no staggering where you go from 11 to 12 and me from 12 to 1. No, we would hear mother holler, it's lunchtime. And she real loud. And then we would all go home and eat. And then we didn't get so much rest. You eat fast so you can get some rest, but an hour or whenever they finish eating, especially when granddaddy was finished eating, you go back to the field. So you always kept your eyes on him and ate fast because once he finished, you don't get to stay at the table and lounge around and talk. You eat.
Now, was your granddaddy meeting? Now, for those of y'all who didn't know, so my mother's grandmother was alive since I've been alive. She's deceased now, so I got to meet her. I got to know her. And Mulla was not somebody we in our family called her Mulla, Mulla, which is kind of short for like mother. Why are you yelling? She is not somebody that most people categorized her as nice. And I wouldn't, I try to have some. Hold on. Apparently, my son doesn't think my boobs are ugly, so she's not somebody that I would have categorized as like the nicest of people. But how would you have categorized your grandfather?
My grandfather was, of the two, he was the more one we thought was nice because he didn't really discipline us as much as mother did. I don't think my grandfather, these are my father parents, not my mom parents. These are my dad's parents. So mother was more the disciplinary. She was the one that whooped us, and she was the one that made sure we did what she said or else. I think my grandfather may have hit me one time, and that's because I had knocked my sister down and he was upset with me. But other than that, she was the one. He was kind. I went there at 10. He died when I was 12. So only had 2 years with him.
So she was a widow.
Oh, yes.
What did he
with
die
16 kids. Well, we don't quite know. We just found him in the gutter down below near the mailbox. Because on weekends, I'm going to tell you, one thing I loved about my grandfather, on the weekends, he could get drunk as a skunk. But on Monday morning, when that rooster crowed, he went to work every day. He never took a sick day. He never did. I don't know how drunk he got, but one day he left on the week. It was a Friday. He left and went to, I guess, visit one of his drinking buddies, I don't know, by foot, because, we didn't have no cars. And he was walking back home, but they found him dead in the kind of trenches or the gutters of the highway.
Oh man, how did Mother take that? Like, how long did she grieve him? Or
Well,
was
you
it?
know, when you're 12, how do you know how to? I don't know. I didn't know how to measure that. I
Uh,
know that she hollered real loud when somebody came and said, "Miss Willie, we just found your husband down there in the gutter and he's dead." And she let out that yell,
mm-hmm.
and then they, brought the body to the house. So the body was in the house with us till they got
What?
ready to bury him.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, we.
What? How long was that?
Oh, for how long it took.
No, was
We
it
put
like
him in the
hours
front
or was it
room.
a day? Like, how
Oh,
long was the
days.
body?
No, it gotta be days. People got to come see him. So they put the body in the front room. You remember, I've got the two rooms, right? So in the
Oh
first room, the
God,
front room,
no.
there was a body, and then there was my grandmama's bed and my aunt's bed, and then we had chairs. We didn't use sofas. We just had chairs. Those chairs that they made, because they made their furniture, so it was chairs. And somebody made the box to put him in. I don't even know if they embalmed him, because I'm not sure if they did that back then. I don't know when they started, and we probably couldn't afford it no way.
Oh my gosh.
So they
What was
just
your
brought him up
grandfather's
to the
name?
house. So we didn't. Joe, Joe
Joe.
Barr,
Oh yeah.
Joe Barr. That's my daddy's
Yeah,
nickname,
I
Joe
didn't
Barr.
realize that
Yeah.
your dad was named after his dad. Didn't
Yes.
realize that.
Yes.
So you were so back to the house, because some of
Okay.
them might not understand this. Was that you all's house, or was it the like, were you all
It,
on the property?
it was Mr. Jesse's house. We were sharecroppers, and the way sharecropping work is that, and I don't know, my grandfather probably could have built that house for us, but
Mm-hmm.
we were on land owned by Mr. Jesse. So how that house got resurrected or put there is kind of, I can't really say that I know, but I can tell you what it looked like when I lived in it. But you can tell they were not, masons. It wasn't a brick house. It was
Right.
made of cedar logs. Yeah, they cut trees down, and then they put, the floor was cedar wood. And we had to scrub those floors. They were cedar wood, but I scrubbed them with sand. You'd be amazed how sand can get grease out of something.
I believe it.
But
Now, explain what sharecropping is, just in case people don't
okay,
know what that is.
sharecropping in North Carolina was where Mr. Jester, who was a Caucasian white man, owned property, and farming was the trade back then. So what they would do is that they would give a family permission to live on their property and to farm the land, and they would get portions of what they farm. So the vegetation, all of that was ours. That was our food. So we could raise greens and cabbage and green beans, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and that was what we fed. The family was fed on, as well as we had hogs, cows, chicken, and we would catch squirrels and rabbits and fish. All that. That was the way we lived. But when you have crop meaning cucumbers, we would have so many acres of that would be taken in and sold. And if we made $100 off the crop, Mr. Jesse got 75 and we got 25. So then same thing with cotton and tobacco and corn. Anything that we raised that was considered I don't know, a grain or something that could be sold, then that's what he would make money off of that. So that was,
So it was a
he would
75,
pay like,
25 split. Did you hear me?
yes, we got a fourth. We
You got a
always
four,
got one
yeah,
fourth.
75,
Yes,
25
75,
split.
25.
Y'all did
Yes,
all of that
yes,
work,
yes.
and Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse got 75% of the
Yes,
growth. Oh, ooh,
yes.
wow.
And so that money that they got, that was, you got a family of 18, 20 people in the house, and there's nobody else working, and that's it. There was no Popeyes or Wendy's or Hardee's for any of us to work at. And if it was too far away.
Right.
We lived all the way back, and the closest thing to us was the Gaston Lake, and that's where we would go fishing at. But you got to go fishing in between your crop needs. You cannot take away time from dealing with the crop, because Mr. Jesse is looking to make some money. He'll come down and check and see how the crop is growing. Now he did buy the seed. He paid for the the seeds for the cucumbers. He paid
Okay.
for the cotton that we planted. He paid for the tobacco that we got. He paid for those things. If we
Mhm.
didn't grow it for next year, then he would do that.
So
And
I'm looking at the comments. People are like modern day slavery. Truly, this was the new form of legalized. Like it's the same thing, kind of like in the prison system, where yes, the prison will provide all of the supplies, but the prisoners do all of the work and they get paid pennies on it. So this was like this. You gotta understand. My mother grew up in the Jim Crow South. And in the Jim Crow South, they were still trying to find ways to be as close to like slavery as possible, but still have it be legal. And that was one of the ways um, was doing sharecropping, where at the time there were not a lot of blacks that owned land because they came up out of slavery with nothing. So you had these good old white folk that were like, oh, well, you can work on my land and we will split the profit. But the split was some type of terrible. My mother always tells the story of, you used to pick cotton for how much?
3 cents a pound.
3 cents a
A
pound
pound for
is
cotton.
what my mother picked cotton for. And y'all know how light cotton is.
Tell
So
them buy some cotton balls and see how much they have to buy to get $3.
to get to a pound.
Yeah, that's no to get 100. Okay, so I had to pick 100 pounds of cotton to get $3.
Right. I'm
And
just thinking, I don't even gotta think that far. The fact that you had to get a pound.
a pound,
Cotton
yes,
weighs
yes.
so little. How much
Yes.
cotton do you have to pick to get to a pound? Like, I'd been peeing on that cotton. I've been like, we're gonna get this weight up on this thing quick as possible.
My brother would put rocks in his, so it would weigh more. But he's 2 years old, but he never picked 100 pounds of cotton. Now I did.
Never.
I've picked 200 pounds of cotton. I would have 2 bags. I put one bag across this side, because the way it works is you take you make your cotton bag that you'll put cotton in. It's a long bag, and you put straps on it, and you hook it across your body so you can drag it, because you want it to drag. And then
Mm-hmm.
you put one on the other bag so both bags can drag on the ground. And then you pick, and I'm picking 2 rows. I'm putting cotton in the bag as I go. And
Uh-huh.
it's hard to pick in cotton, because if you're not careful, you snag the cotton. And that means that you didn't pick it right. You're supposed to get your hand inside of that bulb and get that cotton out without it snagging, because the outer covering of a cotton is hard. It's wood. It's hard, and it will snag cotton,
Mm-hmm.
just like if you take a cotton ball. So you have to, it's an art to picking cotton. It's not just going out there saying, oh, picking cotton. No, there's an art to it. And you could get punished if you left so much cotton, evidence on the bulb, because it means you snagged. You didn't get your hand all the way in there. You reached in and you pulled it out, and you pulled it out and it hit the wood part. So I had to, go ahead.
So you were doing that with your brothers. What were the girls doing? Because you said your grandmother must have thought you were a boy because she had you doing boy work.
No,
What were the girls doing?
oh, anybody over, I'm gonna say 10 was out in the field working too, but that
Okay.
expectation of them were not as high
That's
as it was
high.
on the older ones. Yes,
Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying. So you're there until a certain age.
yes.
Okay. So
16.
16. What happens then?
Okay, 16. While we were there, and while we were, going through the strain of living there, can I back up and say my grandmother had a total submission to Mr. Jesse being Lord and we being the people that should respect that. There
Mm-hmm.
were still colored water fountains where I lived at. And my grandmother always strictly made sure when you go, tell them Willie Mae Hester Bar sent you, and make sure you say Mr. Jesse, Mr. George. You could not do the conversation we do now with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we felt that after my grandfather died, I was there another whole 4 years. But in that 4-year time, it seemed like my grandmother, who had to take care of all of us and make sure we didn't kill ourselves and all that stuff, she seemed to got more stricter and she didn't feed us enough. We didn't feel like we was getting enough food for all the work we was doing. We were stealing some of the canned stuff and trying to, well, because I count the jars for her, I would just tell her less than what it was. So we could have something that we could open, but we would bury the jar somewhere back in the woods because we didn't trust her. She'll find it.
Right.
So we would write call our mother. She would call my mom in Baltimore. My mom and dad were separated, divorced, and we would call and talk with her maybe once a month. Mr. Jesse would let us use his phone. So if I had to go up there for my grandmother, I would ask if I could use the phone, and I would call my mother, and I was telling her that we was being mistreated. So 4 years later, or sometime before I turned 16 in June, November the 6th, 1966 is when my mother came down with her father and kidnapped us and took us to Baltimore.
Now, did she have to kidnap y'all in the middle of the night, or she just came down there and was like, Miss Willa, I'm taking my kids?
She did not vocally say nothing to my grandmother. She came and said, oh, Mother, I want to take the kids up to the store and get them something. So all of us piled in the car. Thank God there was no seatbelt law, because it was 7 kids and my grandfather and my mother. And
your grandfather? You mean your dad?
No, my grandfather, po' boy. Abner,
Mary
Alice's husband.
You gotta, because you don't know that you're introducing grandma's daddy.
My mother's father. Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say
my mother's father came
by this town. Okay, but yes,
okay.
Oh boy, Abner,
yes.
Abner Barr.
Yeah, Abner Robinson. Yeah, Abner
Robinson. Excuse me, I didn't put every last name. Abner Robinson and my grandmother Dorothy Barr.
Lee Barr. Yes.
Were okay.
So they came and so we went in the car. My grandmother was thinking we were going to the store. And my mom when she hit that paved road, she hit the Virginia state line fast and heavy, and she never looked back.
So somebody asked, why did she have to kidnap y'all if she's your mom? Like, why did she feel like Mulla had ownership to y'all? Is because she had y'all for so long?
I believe so. I don't know the dynamics, but I'm thinking that's what she thought, that Mother would not release us freely, because we were the farmers. We were her. After my granddaddy died, the kids did the farm. So I don't know, but I would assume that she would meet resistance if she tried to say, Mother came to pick up my kids.
So why did you all end up living there to begin with?
Because my parents was in Baltimore when they separated. And the only grandparent that would take all 7 of us was my father's mother. My mother's mother was in Baltimore, but she would only take the older one. She would not take any of the ones under, let's say, 5.
And grandma didn't think she could raise all of you all on her own?
My mother?
Yeah.
My mother did. She just had gotten a job, and to find a place that will house 7 kids and an adult was out of her money making. She didn't have the income. She didn't have the income
to do it.
Yeah, and even with welfare at that time, which she was able to qualify for, it was not going to provide enough for her to be able to take care of 7 kids. But then if she worked, who was going to babysit?
Right.
I was a babysitter for the most part for the kids.
Let's go back, because there's a part of the profession that you have not mentioned yet that your grandmother also participated in. What, other than being a sharecropper, what else did Miss Willie Mae Hester Barr do?
Oh, she was we had, the money she made from Mr. Jesse, and I just guess my grandma, I don't know, because I wasn't the financial person, but she also was corn liquor. She sold corn liquor on the side and wine to make some extra dollars to put in her blouse. And so I was the one that, and I thinking back, I must have been an apt child. She probably had some spiritual insight, because instead of my older brother 2 years older than me, or even my cousins who 4 years, 6 years, I was the one that would have to measure out the liquor for people when they came to buy half a pint or half a gallon. And I also was the one that would have to, when she got the corn liquor, I would be the one to take it back down in the woods and bury it. Because, you know, the moonshining was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So
She
as
was a
a
bootlegger.
moonshine,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's a bootlegger by all means. And I used to hear the people say, Miss Willie, you have some good corn liquor. I don't understand what that meant because all of it burned to me.
Mm-hmm.
We used to try to drink it. But she was definitely a bootlegger, and I was her operational manager, I guess. I'm the one that would fix the half a pints and stuff and bring it out for her to sell, and they would give her the money.
Mm-hmm.
I made a mistake one time though, and I got a real whooping for it because I thought the vinegar bottle on the counter had corn liquor in it. I didn't realize that it was real vinegar, but it wasn't quite a half a pint. So I put some more corn liquor in it, and we would keep like maybe a bottle or two in the house. We would not keep a lot because you never know when the police want to raid the house. So I kept that bottle there waiting for whoever would come and buy it. And sure enough, somebody bought it, but when they took a drink, and it's always proper when you buying corn liquor to sample it in front of the people, sample it and offer them some.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Miss Willie, have a drink with me. So when the man proceeded to drink the corn liquor mixed with vinegar, it did not go well for me. But it was white as white. I just was a child. I just didn't even, I don't know.
Right, you didn't know. You didn't know. How were you supposed to know? So she made corn liquor and wine?
She didn't make it. No, she made wine. She made homemade wine. But corn liquor, she would go to the bootlegger and get the gallon jar. You know the gallon corn jar?
She would go to her Connect and get it in bulk.
And get about 6 or 10 jars and bring it there. Then my job was to get any whiskey bottles I found, or any bottle, like a vinegar bottle, any bottles that you have, and just use those, rinse them out real good, wash them, and use them to measure corn liquor in.
Corn liquor is just liquor made from corn. Is that what it's called, corn liquor for?
Well, they're supposed to go through the engine of a car, corn and the engine of a car or something. I really don't know how it's made, but I do know those two things are used. And how they get it to be as potent as it is, I have no idea.
Moonshine. Okay. So let's get them getting you to Baltimore. We'll have to do this as a part 1 and a part 2 because I think people are absolutely loving it. So we'll have you do part 2 next week. But let's get you to Baltimore. So, Grandma, you said that y'all had told an aunt. That how did Grandma know to come get y'all? Meaning my grandmother. How did she know your mother to come?
How did my mom know
to come get y'all?
At us? Yeah, we would call, and we also would write and tell her that Grandma was not treating us right. It was myself and my youngest brother. We were the ones that were kind of the black sheep of the family. We were the ones that had to do the most work, had to be denied a lot of stuff because I look so much like my mother, and this is my father's mother, and so my grandmother did not like me. I mean, her action towards me made me feel like I was no good and nothing, and those are her exact words. And then my brother, youngest brother, she didn't believe that was my daddy's son, so he was not allowed to eat at the table with us. He had to eat at a separate place, and I was allowed to eat at the table, but I was always the one that was lashed out at. So all of this kept going for so long. So we kind of started telling Mom. And so that's why she was inspired to come down and get us.
Okay.
And so she did.
He ate in the hot box, right? Is that what it was called?
He ate on the hot box, the meat box. There was a box where we would keep meat because we had the house that we cured the meat outside, but there was another box where we would like cut a big piece of bacon. We'll store it. That's when we have to go out and get it for breakfast when she was doing the bacon and the sausage.
So Dorothy Lebar, she comes out there with Abner Robinson. They come and they kidnap y'all to Baltimore. And it had been how many years since you had been in Baltimore? 6?
Yes, I was 16. Yes, I left when I was 10 and I came back when I was 16.
Get to Baltimore. What is the feeling to be out of North Carolina and to be in Maryland, back in Maryland again? What is the feeling for you?
I cried. I wanted to go back to North Carolina. I did not like city. I'm used to country. I'm not used to city, and I didn't like it. I I really wanted mom to come in and get the younger siblings. I did not want her to come and get me.
Oh, you
I
were like,
wanted
I can
to
take it.
stay.
I can take it.
Yes,
Just come get the little ones.
yes. That's what I really wanted. But they weren't going to leave without May. But May did not want to come, so I didn't like Baltimore. I didn't like leaving North Carolina at all, and it was very difficult for me to adjust.
What was it? What was it? Did you think it was too fast? Too many people? People would like what? Or you just didn't know what to do with
Yes,
yourself?
no, people. I had too much freedom. I could do a lot of stuff, wear certain clothes, because in North Carolina that was not the dress style for me. But also the people were mean. They weren't as friendly as I'm used to. Country people, you know, everybody know you. Hey, May, here, don't nobody know you. And you say hi, people won't speak or didn't speak. Girls looking you up and down like they could kill you versus anything else. I didn't know what to relate that to, because I had no understanding that people could just look at you and not like you. And they could hurt you because they didn't like you. And I was not accustomed to that at all. And then I'd heard about city living, how people would kill you on the spot, and I was scared. And it was just a lot for a stone country girl to come and accept at 16, because it was a culture shock. I'm like, where do you fit? How do you fit?
Yeah.
So, and going to school was rough. I mean, the year I was there, because I was in my 11th grade, and they killed the boy over a seat in a class. He got beat to death right there in class, because this guy said he was sitting in his seat. The teacher didn't stop him. Nobody stopped him as he beat that boy, who died on his way to the hospital. Well, the way the doctors told my mom, said she's going to have a nervous breakdown, because I just didn't know what to do. Couple girls in the cafeteria, I was eating my food, minding my business, and they were looking at me. Now, you know how you look at people? What you looking at? No, it says, what you looking at? And I said, looking at shit. But it came out of some place that I think my response was, I'm like, who said that to myself? Because I mean, I got petrified after I said it, but it just came out spontaneously without me having any say. But it made them leave me alone. They went on. They figured, well, because it was 3 of them and 1 of me. Yeah, it was 3 of them and 1 of me. But I think it was fear. I think fear spoke up for me. That's what that was. So, you know, but that's why I say people, self-preservation will cause stuff to come out of you that you don't even know that's in there. But it sure came out, but they didn't bother me.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I probably look like a lumberjack anyway, you know. It looked like I could pick up the table.
Well,
I just
I think this is a perfect stopping point for this episode of Mommy Confessions. Mama, thank you so much for sharing just the first 16 years of life. I know there were so many tidbits that we didn't put in or talk about, but you know, I do feel like that this is such a amazing, fascinating story. I think a lot of us don't even realize, like, people, you know, when we think of things that even look like slavery, anything that looks like injustice of Black people, I think sometimes we put it so far away from where we are right now, and people don't realize there are people still walking the planet in their right mind, healthy, that experience the repercussions of what this country was like not too long ago. So
yes, amen.
I always find it fascinating. And I'm glad we're finally doing this, because you remember we started this interview process a long time ago.
Yes, and we need to do this book. We need to do this.
No, it's a screenplay. It's a film.
Yes, it should be a film. It really should.
Yes. Oh, I plan on writing it. So I'm glad I'm finally getting to do the full interview, and it's being recorded. and I can see the pieces. And I'm so glad that you all can go along on the journey. I just want to give another shout out to all of my Patreon people that are watching. There's
Yes.
20 of you all who are getting to watch early and live, and they're able to actually help. I'm actually watching comments and questions come in, so that's actually helping me come up with questions. So, and sorry if there's any internet
That's
delay.
good.
But yes, so we will come back next week with a part 2.
Okay.
And I still have a special guest planned, Miss Tabitha Brown, but I'll record hers and hers will go up the week after this. So
Okay.
the week after part 2 is what I should say. So again, if you are listening or watching Mommy Confessions, please like, follow, and share. Review us if you're listening to it, because it makes the podcast more discoverable. And if you're watching it, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you are following Mommy Confessions or following That Chick Angel TV, so that you can be notified when the next episode drops. Also, if you want to be able to watch this live and be a part of the recording of this, being able to ask the questions that you really want to have answered, you need to be a member of my Patreon, which is at www.patreon.com/That Chick Angel. It is only $5 a month, which is just 16 cents a day. I mean, it's so inexpensive, guys. I mean, granted, picking cotton for 3 cents a pound is way. If you're going off of that, if that's your job, then yeah, 16 cents a day is a lot. I get it. But being that it's 2020, 16 cents a day is not a lot for most people. So yes, feel free to join the Patreon. Mom, again, we thank you so much for being so
I love you.
transparent. Yeah. You all catch us next Thursday for another episode of Mommy Confessions. Bye.
That chick angel, that chick angel.